Hello, everybody, and welcome to Celestial Trine Part 3. Now, I'm Gary. You are
Izabela.
Meten, I think that's my
superb.
name.
Superb.
That'll do. That'll do for today.
um, this show, we're not really going to be doing a date and a prediction. Low, obviously, Isabella near the end will be pulling some cards just for some clarifications. But this show is about our first predictions, which is actually our second show, which is Celestial Trine 2, where we looked at January 20th to 26th or 20th to 25th. We did a show in which the predictions appear to have been very, very much on point. Now, this show is not about egotism and us saying how amazing we are. This show is about pointing out that what we were talking about so we can kind of break down Meten's reading, Isabella's reading, so that on the shows that we do in the future and the ones we've already done, you can go back and look at these predictions and hopefully get a little bit more clarity out of those. So I'm going to start as we did with the show with Meten initially, and then we'll get on to Isabella. Now, in the shows, normally I speak to Meten, and Meten gives us charts and explanations of what was going on, and then Isabella does the cards, and we'll be following this format here. So, Meten, when we did the show, Celestial Trine 2, you spoke about a build up to this period, as in 20th and 25th of January, a Kazemi, and hidden space where agendas are formed. Would you like to expand on that from memory, or bring up a chart and talk us through what you were talking about and meaning while going through that, please?
Okay, I'm gonna pull up a chart first. Just sending the request to you, Gary.
There we go.
Okay, you guys can see this?
Yes.
So this is set for January 22nd, and this is 2 minutes to midnight at Washington, D.C. And you can see with this chart, all the planets are gathered in one place, except for Uranus and Jupiter and Chiron. And you can see all the planets here in Aquarius. And Pluto and the Sun are exactly at the same degree of Aquarius. It's 3 degrees. And Pluto's been there for a couple of years. And the Sun goes in there every year about that time, about January 22nd, 23rd. And all the planets you could see followed suit. They're all moving in that same direction. So everybody is taking their turn being kidnapped and abducted by Pluto into the underworld. And that's what a Kazemi is. It's when a planet, well, in reverse actually, a Kazemi is when the planet passes 1 degree with the Sun, within 1 degree. And so in this chart, Pluto is the planet that's Kazemi the Sun. So that means that planet is being burned in the heart of the Sun. And that means its spirit is somehow just transmuted and taking over the whole energy of the world. And so in a sense, when Pluto is Kazemi with the Sun, it's like a total eclipse, because the black sun, which is symbolic of Pluto, is given this power in that moment to hide, for underworld actions to take place, hidden actions. And this is what the result was during that time period. It's what I predicted when I had said that, as Gary noted, that hidden spaces where agendas were formed. And so this is all aspects of those agendas that took place during this time period, this buildup of January 20th to the 26th, which was a culmination with Mars in conjunction with Pluto, and that was on the 26th, and that was had to do with violence and intensity and momentum that's still carrying many of us forward. And so I'll leave the chart for a minute, and I'll just share a little more and say that reflecting on this time period, we saw many things. We saw that there was a coup in China, right, Gary? That coup that occurred. There was some violence that occurred on the 18th. I think some guards were shot, like 6 or 7 guards. There was an attempted coup on Xi's communist China government, and there was also, and that shows, a leader almost being taken out, right? And that's what, like a hidden plot, like a secret plot coming to light. And then we saw also the World Economic Forum meet in Switzerland behind closed doors, another hidden meeting with agendas. And then there was the incident in Minneapolis, the shootings, which Izabela had predicted as a kind of revolutionary moment. And it certainly was characterized that way in the United States, that it was like the first shot of the revolution. And I think that's it. That's what I have. Anything to add to that, Gary? Or anything more?
Yeah, no, that's very, very interesting. And obviously in hindsight we can pinpoint exactly where these places are and what went on. And actually on the 24th of January, the ex-leader, who somebody, I do apologize, I can't remember the second name, but he appears to have been executed on the 24th, and he was the ex-CCP leader. So there was definitely stuff going on in the underground, and we see something else that Meten brought up was Pluto destroying anything that was not authentic. Now, this also for me covers hidden agendas or agendas that are not clear. Something that started just after this period, but certainly had been boiling up for this, is the Epstein lists, and it also covers what was going on in China and Minneapolis. Any last thoughts on that before we go to Izabela Meten?
No, that was great. I forgot to mention that, correct. That Epstein files is another example of files being brought to light, an overwhelming saturation kind of amount of files, more to confuse and perhaps smokescreen than anything else, but certainly, information, true or not, there's relativeness to that, but I'll leave it at that. That's it.
Thank you, Meten. Now, Izabela, from your reading, you first started with the crystal ball, and what you got was darkness. It wasn't necessarily showing events, but you felt an electricity coming up, metaphorically, and potentially issues with electricity. Now, China was a very electric event, you could say, but also we have had storms where we've had electricity failures as well. So you covered that quite nicely. But the event was dark to the world while going on because the crystal ball wouldn't show you anything. And I think that connected very much to China because it was very dark to the world until it actually happened. Um, what are your thoughts on that, thinking back to your reading?
Well, about China, well, that was a little bit unexpected for me when I heard about it and we did a video. And the darkness I saw, it was really dark in the crystal ball, dark and cold. And we had that cold weather extreme cold weather coming down from the north, with ice storms and blackouts on many places. Um, so yeah, that's one of those things that really happened. And also here in the south of Sweden, where I live, it has been more cold than usual for the last years. And we didn't have a really power outages, but still, the news stations, they were warning a lot about big snowstorms and this and that. But when they finally snowed, it was not so much. So there were a lot of fear propaganda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And we can don't forget about the revolution in Iran. That's also a very big one. It started around that time, when that Iranian regime killed over 30,000 citizens, men, women, children, everyone. They just killed them down. And I think that killing is still a hidden agenda that will be revealed later on, why they did it. So it's also a hidden agenda behind all those deaths. And it always connects to the little country in the Middle East we will call Easy, because Easy has connection to that, what happened um, in Iran, but also connection to what happened with the files that were released. Mm. So a lot of hidden agendas everywhere. And I think we are approaching a time when those hidden agendas will be more to the open, more revealed, and that will certainly cause a big revolution in everybody's heart when that comes out. And will be, it cannot be stoppable. And the news medias, the mainstream media will be forced to talk about it because it's talked about everywhere.
yeah. Because you certainly brought up the country Izzy being involved in many, many things. You
Mm,
certainly brought up the revolution has begun, or
yeah,
revolutions plural, and you
yeah.
said it was going to spread from country to country, and certainly the Epstein information is looking like a revolution of information that really is quite dark, and again is linked to Izzy very much so. You certainly brought up the cold weather coming down, and America saw a huge sway and major effects from that storm, as did Canada as well, I believe. Something else that you brought up was the cash register. Now, you spoke
Empty
very
one.
clearly about a cash register with few or no coins. Now, for me, we're looking at silver here.
Yeah.
Would you like to expand on that as well, Isabella?
Yeah, there is no cash, no funds. They have run out of silver everywhere. The big companies are selling papers, not real silver. And it's the beginning of another big revolution, a revolution regarding finances and the crash of the old system when that comes out. And the coins, well, we always say silver coins, the coins in the cash is it's like silver money. And there is no money. Where is the money? Who has the money?
And again, you actually did a card reading on this, and the card reading confirmed this with financial issues and hidden information regarding no money and a fake or false bank system. Now, this also links into crypto and Bitcoin. Now, I'm no expert on crypto, and I will ask Meten just to come in quickly and express his knowledge of the crypto situation that we are now seeing.
I'll just start with, I don't remember what video it was, if it was you guys or a separate video, but in December, I predicted that, or I shared with my Discord group to get out of crypto, get some, get some profits out prior to February. And I actually said prior to January 20th because as January 20th occurred, I knew that we were just going to see the beginning of a toppling, just some kind of economic shift that was already happening way before the Aries vortex. And it certainly occurred. And now we're watching a free fall of the price of Bitcoin and the price of many coins. But it's, to me and to many, it's interesting because what we're seeing with the Aries vortex and what we're seeing with that full moon eclipse in Aquarius at 28 degrees on February 17th is a shock, a jolt to the system. Like the system died and someone's grabbing the, I forgot what they're called, but to electrocute the dead body, try to bring it back to life, the Frankenstein. And it's kind of like that because they're going to shock the system over and over again until April. And then something will occur in April that, anyways, I'm going too far. But yes, crypto is just like silver. They're just trying to control the markets, trying to, foreshadow some kind of fall of the markets. And yet at the same time, it's just the kind of erratic ups and downs and extremes and shocks that we're really going to see all year in the crypto market. Silver and gold, I would leave that up to you, Gary. I think that market's going to be a little different.
Thank you very, very much, Meten. And again, crypto is coins. And crypto, for me personally, is a made up fake fictional money that's just created out of fresh air. And so if you did open the cash register, there wouldn't be any in there. So again, it links in very nicely to the physical silver and the crypto. Now, something else that links all into this monetary system is Izabela said very, very clearly that the start of the financial issues, what's hidden will come to the surface. And it wasn't that it was going to happen during the end of January. It would be the beginning of this effect going through. Now, something that we got during the card readings was the Nine of Swords twice, and it was part of a major focus of the reading. So, Izabela, would you like to talk about the Nine of Swords, what it means and represents to you, please?
Yeah, the Nine of Swords can mean many different things, all depending on the question or which cards are around it, and so on. But for me, the main meaning of Nine of Swords, it could be gossip, rumors, some interference, things that will be said that you don't want to hear, general problems. But it could also be things that are pointed out regarding women that have problems or problems with women. It could be health problems, it could be other problems. But it's a kind of card that is problematic. It's a card that wants to show problems, irregularities, many times problems that are not clean, false problems, or created problems.
And I think when we sum up what Izabela saw and what Meten expressed and explained during that first reading, the Nine of Swords cards coming out twice does really represent what we're now seeing across multiple layers and levels. We have to remember, Meten and Izabela have done the magic here, where they've looked at stuff and they've created this synergy, this connection together, where they've brought astrology and tarot and the crystal ball together to create a multiple layered explanation of something that's very, very complex. And it's only in retrospect that we've been able to see this and how amazing their information really has been and how it's going to push us forward, moving forward. And it really is. This is a year of transition and change, 2026. And this
Mm.
is the first little, I say little, but it's the first astrological, sorry, I should say, I do apologize, marker that Meten found that meant that we could then pin something and have a look at what could potentially be. And the fact that the potentially be looks like it's playing out for me is phenomenal. So congratulations both of you on the amazing work you did. You know, it really is for me phenomenal how close they were. And that brings us back to the programs we've already done and programs we will be doing. Please look and watch these programs again with this kind of understanding or the potential of the multiple different layers of the information we have now. Because what we've built up here will only build up and expand. Have you, Izabela or Meten, got any last words on this before we take a
Yeah,
bit of a look at February?
yeah. I think I have to mention we look at specific dates, and we think certain things will happen during those dates. It could be that things are happening those dates or are put in motion to happen, because a lot of things that are happening are fabricated events. But we don't see the effect until a couple of days or weeks later. So even if, for example, we say the 20th of January, things may have happened there. It could be that around that date, it was decided that the 31st of January, we're going to release the Epstein files. But it still covers within the same time period. So things may be put a little bit forward from that specific date. So one should not think, oh no, nothing happened. Maybe just a couple of hours, a couple of days later, it will happen. And not always everything is reported at the same second it happens in the mainstream. Mm.
Yes, the news definitely is not our friend. The
Mm.
mainstream media does not report stuff, and often, like the coup in China or the attempted coup on Xi, that wasn't really mainstream information across certainly what I was looking at, and I only got two small tidbits of information that made me dig and think about that. So again, much of what's going on is hidden under the veil. And I think that goes to something that Matem was saying a while ago, and I do forget which planet it was, but you said often the stuff that's happening at the moment, we won't get clarity on that until later. Can you remind me, was that Pluto or something, Maten?
Yeah, it's the idea that when it the initial idea comes from eclipses, where when there's an eclipse of the sun, of the life force energy, then it's like lights are out and things can be done hidden in the dark, only to be revealed later. And thus the effect of an eclipse goes out 6 weeks to 2 years of possible events that can spring forth from that one moment. Those, 2 minutes or 6 minutes, however long the eclipse lasted. I extended the metaphor to when Pluto conjuncts other planets, because Pluto represents hidden energy, power, moves done in the dark as well. So that whole moment of January 20, or series of moments of January 20th to the 27th, was all the planets eventually taking their turn going into the underworld with Pluto. So I characterized that time period as a kind of eclipse because there was going to be hidden things occurring in the dark. And sure enough, all the examples we gave are examples of things being done. Some came out a little more than others, but we don't know the full story. We'll never know the full story to really what happened at the WEF meeting. We don't really know what happened in China. We got some ideas of what could have occurred, right? Some aspects of it, and um, and more may come later, especially regarding the files. So yeah, hope that's clear.
Now, Isabella, I know you've done the reading for the January the 20th. Would you just like to pull a few cards for any additional information or something that you can feel, or just a little feel of what's gone on, please? Would that be all right?
Yeah. What's going on after January?
Yeah. So what this period created? What do the cards
Okay.
tell us? What's the
Yeah.
feeling of the cards of what has happened? What do the cards or message do they want to give you and us?
Yeah. What has this period created? Okay. In the tarot cards, we have the Temperance, the Strength, and the Wheel of Fortune. Then on the Oracle cards, we have astrological chart with all the signs, marriage, and fame. On the dice, we have a sunrise with flowers, someone knocking down a vase, and a tiger. This period certainly has, how do you say, started a new era. The sun is coming up. The light is being shine on different areas. Light is shining on different areas. And I would see on famous people, because we have fame, or famous couples, marriage. And we have many famous couples that are under investigations and under investigation at the moment. And then we have someone knocking down a vase. It could be that things will come out. They say, oh, it happened by accident. Oh, by chance we came over this kind of information, or we met this kind of person, whatever. No, everything is planned. We have the Strength in the center. So there is nothing by chance. No, that by accident we knocked something down. Everything is planned. What will also come up, we have a tiger that is roaring. Roar. And that I see as the people beginning to grow some, yeah, melons.
Minerals.
Grow some melons, I would say. and beginning to fight back. Okay, why have those rich and famous been able to do this and this and that? So the strength within the people will grow and they will respond. We don't accept this person being our leader or this person sitting in that position. So I will say that resistance against the current world order that is going on, a bigger resistance, that is what is coming out of that period. Or eye-opening, because we have the sun shining light on many areas. Areas that during a long time, it has, we know about it, but who cares? Life continues. But not now anymore. We have the tiger waking up. That's what I
Brilliant.
could say.
No, no, that's a really good overview, and actually covers exactly what we've just been talking about, doesn't it? Very nicely.
Yeah.
Meten, have you got any final words on this particular period, or you muted?
Remind me the period we're talking about?
January 20th, the 20th to the 25th, one that's just gone after Isabella's reading. Are you happy with everything that's gone on there? And is there any
Oh
final
yeah,
words?
we're just right after it in the momentum that's building up towards February 14th, when Saturn goes into Aries and the whole Aries vortex the 20th. So yeah, it's a lot of energy. It's moving. It's shifting. It's powerful and it's revolutionary.
Now, Meten brings up a very important date there, and that's the next real big date or date period that we have: the 14th, the 17th, which is an eclipse, and 20th of February, which is the Aries vortex. Now, Meten, would you like to remind us about that? And then we'll go through some of the highlights of Isabella's reading from that period. We're not going to go too deeply into this, but I do think that another card reading or something about that, or some advice after this, would be beneficial again. So, Meten, would you like to bring up the chart and just talk us through what you saw or explain to the audience regarding the Aries vortex?
Okay, you guys can see this here.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an image from Ray Merriman's book, 2025, on that Aries vortex. You could see here that the Aries vortex consists of Neptune and Saturn at 0 degree to 1 degree Aries, which is going to perfect on February 20th. And then Pluto currently is at 3 degrees Aquarius, and Uranus currently is at around 27 degrees Taurus. It just went direct. It's been in retrograde. And the midpoint of the Pluto-Uranus trine, or rather at this moment it's a sextile, is the Aries vortex. So there's so much energy being charged into this one area of the zodiac, and it's the beginning of the zodiac. It's the 0 degree beginning, that we're moving towards the perfection of our personal vision. That's what I talked about in the video, and in the last video that we had, well, the celestial trine video, the second one, I think. Yeah. And what it is that it's just our reality is being charged with a dissolving of structures and a reality check of where we're at. And it's gonna look like just all the illusions of reality will fall out, that we'll just wake up that day and we won't know what reality we're in. I mean, this is like a upside down world kind of transformation and transmutation. And one thing that I'm going to add to the prediction I made, the predictions I made around this time were dissolving of structures, market erratic movements in markets, like up and downs. And the prediction I want to make now is related to this Uranus and Taurus, because 3 days before this event on February 20th, there's going to be a solar eclipse, a new moon eclipse in Aquarius at 28 degrees. And that's going to exactly square Uranus and Taurus at around 27, 28 degrees. Now, Taurus is symbolic of the Earth, and Uranus is sudden shocks and destabilization. And an eclipse in the sign of Aquarius squaring the Earth, technology squaring the Earth, speaks about the imagery of weather manipulation and Earth events. So it's very likely we could see an earthquake around that time, or up to a week or 2 weeks after. And this earthquake could be a foreshadowing of more and more quakes building up throughout the year, and especially towards April, when Uranus goes into Gemini and does not look back at Uranus. And that's my new added forecast for what could occur around this time. There could be some foreshadowing earthquakes. And so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Meten. Very nicely explained. And again, it's a refresher. Please watch the original video. I think it's the first one actually, but of February. Now, when Izabela did her crystal ball and reading, I've got a list of some of the highlights. One of the things probably needs some explaining, and I'll let Izabela do that as soon as we get there. The first one was miracles and fish falling from the sky, or something falling from the sky. Now, it could be physically fish. It could be metaphorical. We don't know. But something that you'll struggle to find in the history books is actually in 1867, there was actually an insect famine in the UK, and most of the birds and small creatures started to die out. And when people become very aware of this, all of a sudden from the sky, it literally rained insects to the point in which on ships, all hands had to be pulled onto deck to shovel the insects off the boats so they didn't sink. I know it sounds very strange and very crazy, but we have no foresight what this really means. But I can assure you it means something very important. Izabela said about cell phones going a bit mad, playing up. Yeah, we're kind of seeing that at the moment. My cell phone and the internet is certainly getting a bit crazy. And I think it's something we could see more and more as we go through this period. We're actually recording this on the 8th. So we're a little way away from it, but we're very close to it. And as Meten would tell us, the energy builds before as well, so that the effects will be affecting us pre that. The other one, which I know Izabela would like to express and explain a little bit better, is dead from the graves. Dead's coming up from the graves. So would you like to express what you mean by that, please, Izabela?
Yeah. Well, I don't mean that literally, like dead relatives or people you love that had died. Suddenly they're gonna rise from the grave and knock on your door and hello, I'm back. No, not this kind of dead raising from no, dead people raising from their graves. No, it's more like people that we thought were dead, could be celebrities, could be well-known names that officially like died or suicide. Deleted themselves. Suddenly, we're gonna see them make a performance on TV, or I'm here. No, I was under a witness protection program. Oh no, I was not dead. It was just staged. My death was staged. So it could be this kind of dead coming to life, because they were not dead from the beginning. They were just fake dead to protect themselves, or they had to fake their death to be able to give out very important information on very bad actors. So that's kind of dead I'm talking about in that sequence. So for those who are hoping that see their dead loved ones, I'm sorry, I don't really saw that.
Thank you very much, Izabela.
Mm.
Now, from the dead from the graves came straight away arrests.
Mm.
And that links very much into what Izabela was just saying, where we could see certain celebrities or perhaps even Mr. Epstein himself make an appearance again.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things that you came up with was worldwide attempt to stop poverty. For me, that links into the monetary system. Politicians stepping down, domino effects from the stepping down of politicians. We're already starting to see that, I think, now. Children, money, finances, all being affected and coming into play, as well as power outages. Now, that's a highlight of what Izabela saw. Again, this hasn't come to pass yet. Watch the video, make your own mind up with what we've now said, and hopefully it'll give you a better idea of what's coming. Now, Izabela, from this February period, perhaps you could pull some cards and give us some advice and perhaps any additional information that comes from that before we wind the show up. How about that, please?
Yeah. Okay, that sounds fine. Any advice or any additional information for what's coming?
Yeah, for the February the 20th period, yes.
And that's soon. That's very soon. Advice and some extra info. A blank one. I need another one. I had a lot of people asking me why does blank dice come up. Sometimes it says to me I have to reinforce it with the message with an extra dice. So that's why. Let's see here. Ooh. Okay. Oh, yeah. In the tarot cards, we have the Chariot, Page of Cups, and the Justice. Then we have negotiation, despair, and the man. Here we have lighthouse, a dolphin, hoped, and a big person looking down at a small person. From that period, it really looks like there will be a lot of arrest. Justice finally will begin to work. And it's regarding children that have been living in despair. And we all know what have been done to millions and millions of little ones all over the world. And it looks like in that period, finally we're going to see some arrests. Finally, guilty people will be dealt with. And it's the innocence, the dolphins. The dolphin is symbol of innocence, of beauty, freedom. And we could also see a lot of children that will be freed from slavery and trafficking and things like that. And those who will go to justice are those that have been looking down on all of us, that have been thinking that they are much more than the rest of us. And we know who those are. And we have the lighthouse. So a lot of light will be shining on many dark areas. And that will be spread everywhere. We have the chariot, goes quickly. So one news after another. Very important negotiations will come up. It could be peace deals or it could be other agreements that will happen in that time frame. And the advice is keep the spirit up, keep the hope up. We're gonna see justice. Just because we have not seen any big famous names behind bars yet doesn't mean that it will not happen. There are a lot of things that have been happening in the shadows, away from the public eye. But the children, it will not be hidden anymore. We will see officially, and officially people will get arrested, that there is still justice left in this world. And advice is don't lose hope, don't fall into despair. Things are moving, and when it starts really move, it's gonna move extremely fast, like a tsunami. You cannot stop it. Even if you have walls and whatever. If it's a big tsunami, it will crash down. And this is a tsunami of information and a tsunami of justice that is coming.
That's again, that reading really does, for me, sit over and complement what you saw and what Meten expressed on the original reading. So, any last thoughts for you, Meten, please?
No, that's all. That's very interesting that things are developing so quickly from this time period of secret dealings, again, another layer of it, and that this like kind of tiny kind of flame is spreading. And it's nice to see Izabela showing that come forth.
Superb, superb. Any last words or thoughts from you, Izabela?
Well, as I always say in my videos, we have to be there for each other and help friends, neighbors, even strangers on the street. And especially don't lose hope, don't fall into despair, because it's easy to do that. Oh, nothing is happening. Oh, everything's going to continue. If we are stuck in that mindset, nothing will happen. We have to remember that we are the creators of our reality, and what we think about, what we focus our thoughts and our feelings, it's what we create. So if enough of us create justice, if enough of us create abundance and a new world for everyone, that is where we are heading. So as I said, we are creators of our reality. Never forget that. And that is easy to forget when we get stuck in everyday's problems. We have to almost force our thoughts to know, now, this is not how it shall be. It shall be this way. And if enough people vibrate in the same frequency, then big miracles can happen.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. We really are in a good position. And I think the fact that Izabela and Meten was so on point in January gives me real hope moving forward. And just as a little teaser for everybody, Meten has further dates in the future that we still need to look at. So perhaps next month or so, we may come back and then introduce some new dates for everybody that we have a look at. So with that, everybody, and the little teaser, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. Everybody, let's say goodbye, shall we?
Okay, bye-bye.
Love, light, and blessings.